on, everybody? Just wanted to hop on and make a quick video for you guys, give you guys an update on where the market is. We're entering into a new week, right? Forgive me while I get my mic ready. I kind of just clicked the record button without being prepared, obviously, right? Classic Sunday behavior. But yeah, I just wanted to hop on. I wanted to make a quick video. I wanted to go over, we have had some updates, right? Things have changed. So it's important that we can finally have something different to talk about. Not much has changed, but nonetheless, some things have changed, right? So I do want to kind of touch on all of that stuff and just give you guys a good update on what my expectations are moving forward, where I think we're at now, and what I think we need in order to see positive momentum. So we'll kind of just jump right into it. I want to touch on some of the news points. First and foremost, we had inflation data come in this week, right? And we know that we were watching that really close. The inflation data came in significantly better than expected, which is what we've been saying was going to occur, right? We've been saying that we've been tracking the inflation via the Trueflation index here, right? And Trueflation has been historically extremely accurate in relation to the Bureau of Labor Statistics numbers. So we've noticed that over the last couple months, there's been a significant drop in inflation overall, right? So typically these numbers run anywhere from 0.5 to 0.72 percentage points difference with the BLS numbers. So something else we have to keep an eye on. But again, still inflation today is 1.49%. So inflation came in on the CPI headline at 2.4. And then the next day we had PPI come in way lower than expected. So that was a huge positive. That's what we want to see, right? This is what we've been talking about. We've been saying that inflation is coming down. And we're starting to now see that reflective of the inflation reports. If I'm not mistaken, the last two inflation reports have been cooler than expected. So that's very positive, right? In order for Bitcoin and crypto to get going, it's going to need macroeconomic data to align, right? It's very vital. And the reason why is because better macroeconomic data is going to lead to easing monetary policy. And crypto in general is heavily driven off of those two narratives: macroeconomic data and monetary policy. You can go back in history. We've done that many times. You can see the correlation. It is undeniable. It is what's correlated to the crypto market more than absolutely anything else. And so we're going to continue to track that hand in hand to see if things are aligning for us, right? Lately, we've been talking about in detail we've kind of been looking past the major correctional phase, me personally at least, for the last few weeks, right? I've been at that point now where I'm like, okay, it's pretty obvious at this point that this major correctional phase is going to end soon. And I'm kind of looking at, all right, well, when the bounce does occur, how strong is that bounce? And is that bounce going to be strong enough to the point where we can make new highs, or is it just going to be a rally that kind of fizzles out? Maybe we get back to all-time highs, we make a small high above that, and then eventually roll over into a bear market. That's my main focus at this point. Not necessarily is the correction going to end. I've been tracking the correction, this major correctional period the entire time, completely accurately. Have had it mapped out to when I believe it would end. We're starting to see signs that it may be ending. I don't think we should get ahead of ourselves yet. I don't think there's enough evidence to just concretely say that the bottom is in. The reason why is because while inflation has come down, I'd still like to see maybe another report. And I would also like to see the Fed kind of speak up a little bit in terms of expectations around cutting and QT. And I also really want to get this tariff thing situated, right? The tariff thing is overstayed its welcome, in my opinion. I think it's starting to fizzle out as a narrative. The media is doing their best to continue to run with it because it's driving up ratings. Overall, I've never really believed that it was a big deal. I know the markets have made it a very big deal, and it's not up to me to determine what the markets are going to do. It's my own personal opinion. I just don't think the tariff narrative is a big deal. I really don't. I don't think that it should go hand in hand with such massive drops that we've seen in the market. But nonetheless, we'll buy it, right? I will buy that. We have bought it, and I'm making money from that. So I will buy that fear all day long and twice on Sundays. But back to the point I was trying to make is we have officially entered into the reversal zone that I've had mapped out for the last, it's been longer than 3 months now. I think it's been almost 4 months. 3.5 months, somewhere along that line, where I've had these two green lines mapped off. And obviously you guys know by now that these two green lines are not just coming out of thin air. They're not based off what Venus is going to do with Jupiter or none of that ridiculous crap. This is based off actual history and how BTC major correctional phases behave. This is historical data mapped off of average amount of days and the long end of those days. Anywhere between 114 and 174 days, you'll typically see an end to any major period, any major correctional phase in Bitcoin. This is through all times of turmoil. We've seen this in recessions, high inflation periods, war, basically, pandemics, anything you could think of. This has stood true through those times. So very, very good data here. As you can see, I'll actually just move this line a little bit. We did come down and tap that structured support that we've had also mapped out for the last few months. We have the 70 to 75K area, and then worst case scenario, we have that 65 to 63K area, right? So we'll move this back. We did come down and tap that, which is very positive. And also we are starting to see a little bit of a MACD cross here, but this is not enough to get excited, right? I want to see a very durable cross, right? When I say a cross, I mean a durable cross. You could get MACD crosses and they can just roll right back over again if the momentum wave is not strong. I want to see a MACD cross that looks something like this, like that. That's a durable cross to the upside. You see the width between the blue line and the orange line? That's where the MACD becomes very beneficial as an indicator, right? The MACD is not the all-be-all. It's not even close to the all-be-all. It's a good momentum. It's good for indicating momentum, right? But there are little tidbits from reading it where you can get a very good understanding of that momentum. And right now, this is not really any momentum, right? So we're not there yet, right? That's why I was like, we don't want to get too crazy. Don't get ahead of yourselves. We are in the zone of reversal. But again, we're not seeing much momentum yet, right? We're just seeing a little bit of momentum. So my overall words of advice would be to kind of just stay patient here, right? We can waddle around in here for a little bit. Worst case scenario, we could obviously come back down to these 75 to 70K level. I think that idea is becoming less possible at this point. I think the indicators and sentiment and macroeconomic data and this whole tariff thing are starting to favor it's starting to kind of seem like we're on the back half of all that, right? Like kind of one of those situations where it seems like the worst is over. And that's with everything combined, right? Inflation's coming down, right? Labor market is still strong. We'll probably be getting some GDP numbers soon. The tariff narrative is still extremely uncertain. I don't think anyone really knows what's going to happen with that. But I do think it's overstaying its welcome. I think its effect on markets is becoming weaker. I do think deals are going to come from all of this. I still think it's a whole negotiational tactic on the administration's part. But we'll see. I mean, I really don't know. I'm going to be honest. I don't really pay attention to it very much. I know that it's the hot thing to talk about. Me personally, I don't have enough time in my day to sit around and talk about tariffs or anything of that sort. It really don't mean that much to me. I just don't care. I don't care if it was Joe Biden who was president. I don't care if it's Trump. I don't care about the tariffs. They mean nothing to me. I care about inflation data. I care about labor market data. I care about rate cut expectations. I care about quantitative tightening and quantitative easing expectations. And I really don't think the tariffs have much of an effect on any of that. I'm going to be honest with you. There really just is no evidence to suggest that they do. So until that happens, then, we'll see. But, if the tariffs go full-fledged in effect and this is the way it is now, this is our new economy, we have to start, valuing companies maybe differently. We have to start looking at how they are affecting growth and how they're affecting inflation. Then we could start to worry about it. But just all this talk talk, and one day we're negotiating, the next day we're not, the next day I'm just not getting involved because it's exhausting, right? I don't want to deal with it. It's really worthless in my opinion to pay attention to. We're going to track what we've been tracking, and that is everything that's been working, right? We're going to continue to stick with what works, and that is that we are officially in the reversal zone. Anytime from April 7th to June 6th, I do expect Bitcoin to find a bottom and to start heading higher. The question is how high do we go? We don't know yet. We're not at that point yet. We still are looking for that confirmed low. Some people will say, well, why not now? Is the low not in? Are you not sure? No, I'm not sure whether the low is in or not. I think it's still a little too early to say the low is in. Now, I could go out on a limb and be a tough guy and say the low's in and try to look even more correct. But at the end of the day, we've been spot on this entire time, right? All the way back here, people were calling for lows. They were calling for lows over here. We were always saying when the 3-day MACD crossed bearish on December 17th that it was likely we were probably going to enter into a correctional phase. Bitcoin was having massive rejection candles up at the 1.703 fib along with the macro golden pocket. It was looking weak and weak and weak, and it was pretty obvious at that point. Plus the whole Trump meme coin launch, the top, the local top was definitely in. So again, these green lines holding true so far. Let's see what happens. Yeah, I'm feeling pretty good. Honestly, I'm feeling that inflation report really got me feeling good the other day. And then just a little bit talks of, the negotiation aspect of the tariffs, right? That's something I do care about. It's something that I believe is the whole point of this is, I think 130 countries now are negotiating, so it's only a matter of time before China and United States start to do something. It's beneficial for both countries to do so, and then we'll never hear about tariffs ever again. So I'm sure we'll hear about them at some point, but probably a lot less. So, yep, what I'm looking for here is just to continue to either come back down to 74K, 75K, or we just start heading up from here. Doesn't really matter. We're in the reversal zone, so at some point within April 7th to June 6th, I expect us to start heading higher. So that's whether that happens on April 15th or it happens on June 1st. Doesn't matter. I still think we're going higher within that time range. So I am planning accordingly to that, right? I've been accumulating spot swing plays pretty heavily, still sitting on a good amount of cash. So if we go lower, I can buy more. And yeah, we're just getting ready. We're just preparing. Now, if we flip over and look at the logarithmic chart of Bitcoin on a smaller time frame, we could see that on the daily time frame, I've been kind of watching this. I've been redrawing this falling wedge for like a month and a half now, trying to make it work, and it really wasn't working yet. I knew it was developing, but it was just kind of not making sense. But now I think it's pretty defined at this point where we can really draw this and say, okay, this looks like something is actually forming here, this kind of downward channel. But we haven't broken out of it yet, right? So there's no reason to get too crazy. I've made this pretty clear on the Patreon and in public on X that I'm not really going to be feeling super confident until I see Bitcoin above 89,000, which would be right here, let's call it, right? So 88.9, let's just call it 90, let's call it 89,000, right? I want to see Bitcoin get into this zone here. That'll have me feeling really good that the bottom is in, right? I'm not going to call the bottom until I see that, right? I want us to get into here. All right, that's going to, again, what would that do? Well, why is that, Kev? Why would that be able to make you confirm that the bottom is in? Well, I'll tell you. Not only would we have officially had these nice demand candles down at structured support close to the 786, which is evidence alone to suggest. However, I want to see us break the lower high structure, right? I want to see us break this trend line, right? We haven't done that yet, so there's no reason to get crazy. We're at the resistance, right? But we haven't broken it. And on top of just this downward trending resistance, you still have the macro, I believe this is 0.886 fib, and then you have the lower high structure at 89,000, right? So we haven't done that yet, right? I don't want to, no reason to get too crazy when we haven't really accomplished anything. All we've accomplished is bouncing off of the bottom, right? It's been a decent little bounce, right? Let's see, we're up about 12% from the bottom, but in reality, we haven't really done much yet. So now, again, I'll reiterate, we are in the reversal zone. We are at that point where I believe Bitcoin is going to start heading higher durably any day from now until from April 7th to that June 2nd window. So it just depends what we need to do. Do we need to come down here one more time, or do we just continue to go up from here? Right? I don't know. You know what I mean? I think that we can look at some daily indicators and to give us an idea. If we look at the daily momentum wave on Market Cipher, we're heading up, but we have a VWAP, which is the yellow here, curling down, right? So that's not great. That's not bad, but it's not great at the same time. We also have very lackluster daily money flow. So again, kind of like leads into the momentum factor, right? We're getting a nice bounce, but we're still not seeing really any money flow come into the asset class. VWAP is coming down. So we'll kind of see what the next few days look like. This could take, a week to reset. It could take a few days to reset. The MACD is bullish at the moment, but it hasn't broken this high right here. Right, it hasn't broken this high, and it's still below the zero level. So reality, this can kind of just roll back over again. Definitely, we really wouldn't use this as a super strong indicator at the moment. It's kind of just doing nothing, right? Kind of like how the price action is doing nothing. We're just waddling around. Stock RSI on the daily is almost completely overbought, right? We had a nice double bottom there. We got that move higher. This is going to potentially cross bearish within the next couple days, so kind of goes hand in hand with what I'm looking at, right? We're at this resistance point, major resistance point, that being between the 85 and 89K level. So we're at that major resistance. We don't have much money flow going for us. MACD is kind of just not really doing too much, small momentum. Whale money flow is increasing, which is good, right? That's looking good, but kind of flat over the weekend. Not a surprise there. And then we also have the stock RSI, which is almost topped out on the daily. So a little bit of bearish, a little bit of bullish. I think it's just the same story, different day. We're not really doing much, right? We're just waiting. Yeah, so I mean, again, this is a bullish pattern, right? So it goes to my narrative of we are in the reversal zone. I do expect this to break out to the upside soon. It's just a matter of, do we do one of these right here where we come down and then break, right? Or do we just kind of trade sideways and then break? Or do we need to even come down here and then break, right? So it's just, that's really what it is, right? We either just break out from here, we come down to structured support again, break out, or we come down and go even lower to really scare people down to 70K, hit the bottom of the wedge, hit the 786, maybe even pierce it, and then get the big bounce up. But one way or the other, like I said, we're in the reversal zone. Anywhere from that April 7th mark to the June 2nd mark, I expect Bitcoin to find a low somewhere between the 75 to 70K level, worst case scenario 65 to 60K level, and then start to head higher. My main focus at this point, like I said, is when that bounce does come, how strong is that bounce? What's the volume looking like? What's the money flow looking like? What's the monetary policy situation looking like? What's the macroeconomic data looking like? What's the tariff situation looking like? And from there, that'll give us a good read as to whether or not crypto will have the ability to make a new high, or will we just make a lower high or a slightly newer high or a double top and start to roll over. But we'll see. We don't know. It's too far in the future to know. At this point, we're kind of just sitting around and waiting for Bitcoin to make that guaranteed low and start to head higher. Bitcoin, USDT dominance, right? We want to look at USDT dominance. So if we look at USDT dominance on the log chart here, you can see that we have our downtrending lines of, you could call it, I guess, the downtrend, right? The macro downtrend in the bear market for USDT dominance. We had the double bottom down here. We know all about that. It happened back. This is when we were talking back in December, early January about Bitcoin looking weak. We were saying that Bitcoin can't break the 106.8K level, which was the macro 1.703 fib. And we also said USDT dominance could not break the 3.70% level. It double bottomed, and let alone Bitcoin broke down, USDT dominance started to head higher. From there, USDT dominance has come all the way up. It has broke through that trend line and hit the macro golden pocket. Now, as you can see very nicely, this is probably, I'll be honest, this is probably the most bullish looking chart for Bitcoin. This chart is probably the chart that gives you the argument that the bottom is in already, right? And this is where things are going to start getting positive, is that we did officially break back down from the trend lines from the 0.5 fib, right, and reclaimed this bearish zone, which is very positive. You do have these massive sell demand candles on the daily time frame. If we look at the 3-day time frame, you can see it a little more clear here. You have, look at these, right? These are big deal, right? These candles where you get these big moves up and then these big sell-offs. 2 of those in a row on the 3-day time frame, right? Here and here. To me, this is bearish, right? This is really bearish, right? Now, obviously, can USDT dominance for unknown macro reasons just blast right back up? Of course, but I think it wouldn't be on a technical perspective. It would be on a fundamental perspective. Something systemically wrong with more tariffs or more bad macroeconomic data, whatever. But overall, these candles are bearish, and we are back. We have reclaimed the bearish zone, which I get really excited about because, again, this is what you want to see if you want to be bullish on Bitcoin and crypto. So this is really nice. Also, something I want to point out is we did confirm this massive bearish divergence. So as you can see, the price action made a higher high and the RSI made a lower high on the RSI, right? So you have the RSI here, right? You have your high up here in the price action. Then you have your second high. Then you have your high on the RSI and your lower high. So that's 3-day bearish divergence, which is, right? That's good. We want to see that. This is exciting to see. And that's a clear bearish divergence. It's not like, oh, I'm trying to, reach for something here. No, this is very obvious. It's very evident. It is there. So bullish thing number 1, bearish candles at the macro golden pocket, bearish reclaim of, the bearish bear market zone for USDT dominance. Bullish thing number 2 for crypto, macro 3-day bearish divergence on USDT dominance. Really, really positive. More bullishness for crypto that we can see. The 3-day MACD, okay, this thing doesn't want to work. The 3-day MACD is double topping, which is something you really like to see on the MACD if you really know how to read it properly and use it. This is good. This is positive. Double top on the 3-day. Momentum is dying out. However, we're not seeing that durable cross down yet, right? So that's something that we can't get super bullish for crypto yet. I want to see a durable momentum wave down, right? Like, look at this. This is what we want to see. See how that occurred? You see how that occurred? That's durable, right? You don't need a lot of time. You can get one 3-day MACD close and have that expansion between the green and the purple line and that big momentum wave, and you know that you've basically changed the momentum, right? You've changed it for the time being. You're going to see bullish momentum for likely weeks when you get that type of cross. So that's what I'm kind of looking for. I want to see that cross occur. Otherwise, I'm still going to be a little hesitant, right? I'm still a little hesitant, right? We haven't broken 89K. We haven't really seen all of the things that I want to see to confirm that a low is in and we're about to start heading higher. But let's be honest here. We're starting to see some positive signs, right? Bitcoin's making that move higher. USDT dominance is definitely giving us a better signal than the crypto price action. Got the stock RSI came up, made a lower high at the 50 line, and now it's heading lower again. This is very positive. Let's look at the weekly candle. This is your current weekly candle on USDT dominance, right? As we're going to be closing that in 3 hours from now. I want to see it reclaim this bearish zone, right? So it looks like we're getting a bounce now on USDT dominance. The prices are moving down on crypto. It's regular Sunday, guys. The CME is at 84K. Bitcoin's at 83.2. Whatever. But yeah, the weekly candle, right? Looking pretty bearish at the moment. Want to see it reclaim this area, which it's currently doing. I would like to make sure it kind of doesn't go higher from here, but we'll see what happens. We have 3 hours, so I'm going to stay neutral on this for now. We have some good signs for Bitcoin and crypto, but again, not enough really. Like, it's kind of like one of those 50-50 things. Like 50% of it is looking really bullish, You know what? Actually, like 55% of it is looking really bullish, and like 45% of it is looking bearish. So I'll definitely give the edge to the bulls right now in terms of just like technicals and some of the fundamentals. It's starting to swing to the bulls side, but I haven't really seen enough. Like I want to see more. I like guarantees, and I don't like to just start throwing calls out there without me having all the evidence that I need. So while evidence is swinging into the bulls direction slowly, and we are in the reversal zone, I'm not fully committed to just saying, the bottom is in. We break 89K on Bitcoin durably, and we're above 89K, and we hold it, I'll say, yeah, it's game time. It's time to start really seeing what this bounce can do. Also, again, USDT dominance, reclaiming this zone. That would go hand in hand with Bitcoin breaking 89K. That I would be like, okay, yep, it's time to start tracking how high can this bounce go. We're positioned for it, right? We have our spot swing plays. We have our long-term bags. We have our leverage trades, maybe that we're in, our scalps, our day trades, whatever. We're looking for bullish momentum. And from there, we'll be good, right? We'll be in a whole new, I guess you could call it, time period for the market. So, yep, that's the USDT dominance chart. One thing I want to look at is the total 3 chart too. Total 3 did something this week that was great, right? This is solid looking chart at the moment. See what the weekly close is like, but look what happened, right? I mean, this is just classic. Same thing that happened last year in August, where again we talk about this trend line and we just talk about the structure, right? Every time that Bitcoin hits this trend line, it gets these moves back up, right? I'm sorry, not Bitcoin, total 3, which is the altcoins market cap, which is what we're looking at here. Even I I think this was maybe last weekend on Sunday. I think it was last Sunday, believe it or not. We had this, look at this, right? We lost the golden pocket, which was already a warning sign. But then this big area of support down here, we started to lose it, right? We started to lose that. And I was like, oh boy, this is not looking good. We're losing big structured support here. But look what happened, right? Talk about faking people out and kind of seeing that miniature capitulation where I guarantee you a lot of people sold right here. I mean, how many people sold right there on that orange circle? A lot. I mean, a lot of people sold there, right? And then look what happened. We bounced right back up. We closed a super bullish 3-day candle, right? This is a beautiful, beautiful candle. A lot of demand here. And then look, we also get the move back down to test it again, right? We came back down. Okay, we got the big green candle. We came back down to test it as support. Boom, we get the demand again in a second big time 3-day bullish candle. Now you're just seeing weekend price action here. Not really going to pay attention to it too much. But again, these 2 candlesticks right here, really, really good. This is exactly what you want to see. This is what potential reversals can look like. But again, it's the altcoins market cap, right? Not going to let it be the all be all, right? Bitcoin is what we're looking at. USDT dominance is what we're looking at. Even the stock market is something we're looking at. But overall, right, we're in a good spot, right? I really wouldn't be selling right here because now we're giving ourselves some wiggle room, right? Now we can kind of just hold our spot, swing plays, and say, all right, well, we're back above major support, right? We made it. We got the demand we needed. Now we just kind of hold and wait and say, okay, well, if we come back down and roll over and break this, then we cut those trades and get the hell out because at the end of the day, it's probably not looking really good. We're probably going lower. But at the meantime, it's like, all right, well, we have some room to work with. We're in our spot swing plays. We were buying the lows. I was buying the lows. Hopefully you were too. And you kind of just wait and see, right? You have the support below you. So it's like, okay, we're getting a second chance here. Let's just relax. Let's take a step back. Don't get caught up in the day-to-day 2 to 3% moves. Let's see what this does. Golden pocket, structured support below, macro trend line. All of that's working for total 3 right now, the altcoins market cap. We also have indicators, right? You got the 3-day buy signal, but we don't have the money flow yet. We have the MACD looking like nothing. It ain't really doing anything. It can't really tell us much at the moment, but it looks like it wants to swing to the upside. We just don't have the momentum yet. We don't have the new narrative, right? Even the RSI is not, still, right? Lower highs. High, lower high, lower high, lower high, right? Let's see us come up and break this previous high right here and start making a move towards the 50 level. And then we'll see some real momentum. But from a price structure perspective, we're just kind of chilling, right? I don't see the reason to make any rash moves at the moment. If you didn't make any rash moves on this wick, besides buying, which I didn't think was rash, I thought it was probably a good idea, I was doing it, then you're kind of just relaxing and waiting, waiting for that new narrative to appear, which will likely be some type of negotiation between China and the United States, or likely be a rate cut, or likely be an end to QT, or likely be continued lower inflation, right? Or we'll just have to see. Beyond that, I think we've looked at everything, right? We're in a good spot right now, right? We're at resistance though, so it's like, don't get crazy here and start thinking we're going to the moon. We haven't broken anything yet. Nothing has all we've done is reclaim really important levels. That's it, right? So that's good. Pat on the back, get excited for that. That's fine. But don't get overzealous here because we haven't accomplished the goal yet. The goal is for Bitcoin to break 89K durably. The goal is for USDT dominance to continue to follow up on these bearish candles, right? If USDT dominance comes up and reclaims this, that's not looking too great. But at the moment, it's below, and we want it to stay below. And we have that 3-day bearish divergence. We have the momentum wave, bearish divergence. However, the money flow is still increasing, right? There's a divergence there. We have increasing money flow, but bearish indicators. Which one's going to break? I'll be honest with you, typically money flow wins out on that, right? You can have bearish indicators all you want, but if the money is flowing in a certain asset and it's flowing out of another, the money, you follow the money over everything, guys. You know what I mean? Now, we'll have to see, though. Let's see. We're going to get a 3-day candle close, I think, tomorrow. Will this start to kind of curl down and head lower? We'll see. But like if you look at the 3-day money flow on USDT dominance, remember that real quick, and then look at the 3-day money flow on Bitcoin. It's a tale of two stories, right? So don't get hung up on the bullish indicators that are starting to flip. We need bullish money flow, right? I'll give you an example. Look at gold. That is bullish. You can look at all the bearish divergences on gold. 3-day bearish divergence, 3-day bearish divergence, but the money flow, it just continues to stay strong. It continues to go higher. Therefore, the price action continues to go higher. It does not care about your bearish divergence. So follow the money over everything, folks. I used to have it in my bio on X. I said, follow the money over everything, because it's the truth. So until we see that money flow start to change, I definitely still think we need to be a little hesitant, right? Not necessarily hesitant with, looking for great entries and allocating appropriately, but just our feelings around the market, right? Just be a little hesitant here. But yeah, I think that's basically it. I think we covered everything. Break 89K, see follow through on USDT dominance to the downside. Hold the structured support that we reclaimed on total 3, and that's it. That's it. We know what to look for, right? And if that can all happen and we start to head higher, then we'll start looking at upside targets. In the meantime, we're positioned properly, right? I've been buying, allocating into spot swing plays, like I said before, still leaving a really good amount of cash on the side, right? So just to be sure, right, I'm very comfortable with what I have allocated at the moment in terms of the trading portfolio, because I don't like to get too much of that portfolio in the altcoin market anyways, because, I like to be able to sleep at night too. So I'm comfortable with having, 49% of my portfolio allocated. And by the way, also in profit on most of those plays. I don't want to get too heavily allocated in an uncertain market. There's always going to be a pullback to buy anyways if we want to get up to 60% or something like that. But I usually don't like to go much higher than that. Don't like to go much higher than 60% allocated in the altcoin market specifically. It's just too risky. Beyond that, DXY, right? We'll look at the DXY. DXY doing the same. It's down at the lows again, right? I mean, this is a really big moment. Everyone gets super bearish on the DXY at this price. I've noticed it over the last couple of years. Everyone thought it was over for the DXY here. It got a big bounce. Everyone thought the same thing here. It gets a big bounce. What's going to happen this time? Is it finally going to be the time where the DXY breaks down from here? If the DXY breaks down from here, I think this can definitely spur a big rally. And in crypto, but we'll have to see. We'll take a quick look at the NASDAQ and S&P. Crazy looking chart here. Go to a 3-day time frame. So yeah, I mean, I was buying the S&P. This is pretty solid looking chart at the moment too. But it's just, you could just tell it's super news driven, right? I bought literally, I got really, I don't want to say lucky, but I bought the lows on the S&P and the NASDAQ and the Russell. So I'm loving this right now. I mean, if this thing can V-shape recover like this and head higher, then woof, man, those entries that I got on the Russell, the S&P, and the NASDAQ are going to be legendary, because I'll take a 25% correction every day of the week, man. I was buying that. That was an easy buy. I don't even care if it heads lower. I'll buy more. I mean, you buy the S&P when it goes down 20-25%. If it goes down 30 to 40%, I will take all the cash I have and just keep buying it, and then I'll hold it forever. I'll just never sell it. I'll definitely sell pieces of it, but I will hold it. I will plan on holding most of that for a long time. You never know, man. You can buy, 30-40% corrections on the S&P and hold it for 20 years and make life-changing gains. You know what I mean? You can make retirement money like that. Look at the people who bought the 2008 financial crisis. If you were buying down at these lows down in here, I mean, you're up 20x right now. 20 years, less than 20 years later, you're up 20x. If I'm not mistaken, right? I mean, am I calculating this right? I mean, that's life-changing gains, dude. No, what the hell am I talking about? I'm way off on that. That's my fault, guys. You're up like 700%, right? That's big. That's massive, though, right? If you could feel more comfortable allocating heavier into the index itself. Like I put big allocations into those plays. So, again, it's one of those things where it kind of balances your portfolio, right? You're weighting out the portfolio properly. You're getting involved with the indexes is very positive. So. We'll see what happens with that, though. I mean, if we look at the 3-day time frame on the S&P, momentum is still pretty crappy, right? Pretty to the downside. I really wouldn't look at too many indicators when it comes to the NASDAQ and S&P, though. I don't really think, technical analysis is great on shorter time frames for the indexes, but very driven off of future valuation, very, very driven off fundamentals, right? So especially the macroeconomic data, the tariff situation, right? S&P is a basket of companies, right? And if the company's value increases, the S&P will increase. So I think you're definitely more important to focus on the market multiple. See where the historical correctional market multiples are, which is typically 14 to 18 times. I think we were at 18 times at the bottom, right? So that's why I was buying there. 18 times earnings, I'm buying the S&P, right? I think up here we were at like 35 times, right? So historically overbought, right? So a correction was actually needed regardless of the tariff situation. The market was overbought, which is why I literally haven't even looked at a stock in months. Like, I haven't looked at stocks in like almost longer than half a year now, because they've just been overbought. No real entries, but now we're getting those entries, so I'm buying. But beyond that, we went over everything. We know what to look for, right? I'll break it down one more time. We're looking for positive macroeconomic data, which we have gotten. We're looking for negotiations on the tariffs. But overall, we're looking for Bitcoin to break above 89K. We want Bitcoin to break above this falling wedge pattern. We are in the reversal zone, so I am expecting a reversal at some point. We may have already seen it. We may have already seen the bottom. However, let's just be cautious here. Let's be cautiously optimistic. We are in the reversal zone. Let's get that durable cross to really reflect actual real momentum, not some fake cross. Let's see this hash ribbons buy signal start to play out, right? We talked about that. 100% hit rate on the weekly time frame. It always plays out. And then we'll go from there, right? I am expecting higher prices soon, right? Do we need to test the lows one more time? Is there some big, China tariff news coming that's going to shock us back down to the lows? I don't know. I really don't know, but I don't really care either at this point, because at the end of the day, I'm seeing things that are looking good, and that is that we're in the reversal zone. We are seeing USDT dominance start to show signs of weakness. We are seeing inflation come down as we've been expecting, And also, I'll show one more thing, but we are seeing the global liquidity also start to rise, right? Global liquidity, guys, it's rising, it's breaking out, and this is something that I've been tracking very closely also. Let's try and get that in there to fit properly. As you can see, global liquidity, right, is starting to break out. So you can see the correlation with global liquidity and the altcoin market. We're at the bottom of this trend line here on others dominance. We have global liquidity bouncing out of the falling wedge, right, that it's been in for a very long time now, a couple years, right? We are actually even breaking this high, which is what I talked about, right? It's breaking the lower high structure too. So let's see if that can continue. If that continues to rise, asset prices are probably going to rise, right? So you can see the correlation, right? Global liquidity rises, others dominance rise. Now this is, when I say others dominance, this is the altcoin market's dominance over Bitcoin, okay? So you can see when global liquidity started to decrease, so does the altcoin market's dominance over Bitcoin. And now we're seeing a durable actual move up. And we are, for the first time in over 3 years, breaking the lower high structure. So definitely want to keep an eye on global liquidity, right? We'll keep zoomed in on that and go from there. And yeah, I mean, one more thing actually I want to look at is Bitcoin dominance, right? Bitcoin dominance, man. Look at this. This is pretty incredible. But Bitcoin dominance is like, this thing is still going higher. Actually, let's go to the other Bitcoin dominance chart. Yeah, Bitcoin dominance, man. Look at this. Got this little reversal candle here, but I don't pay attention to TA on Bitcoin. I don't really want to do TA on Bitcoin dominance. I don't think Bitcoin dominance is driven off of that. I think it's driven off of the Fed's balance sheet, monetary policy. I think that's pretty obvious. We've proven that many times now. Yeah, I mean, what a chart. What a chart. Let me see if I still have... I do actually have this. We could probably pull this up here. I don't know why it's doing that. Let me try and pull this up. Total assets. All right, it's not working. Here it is. Yeah, so we know the deal, right? We know the deal with this. Forgive all the orange circles, but listen, when the Fed's balance sheet starts to decrease, Bitcoin dominance goes up, right? When the Fed's balance sheet starts to increase, Bitcoin dominance goes down, right? When the Fed's balance starts to decrease, or starts to, you can see it. You see the pattern, right? Fed's balance sheet increases, Bitcoin dominance goes down, and vice versa. So we're waiting on QT to come to an official end here. And we're not there yet, right? We're not there yet. So I believe when QT finally ends, which could be very, very soon, maybe the next meeting, we'll see. I expect Bitcoin dominance to finally find its high, and you guys can hold me to that one. I believe that one's going to play out. I think I'm probably going to be the only person to predict how the top will occur on Bitcoin dominance, because everyone's been wrong about Bitcoin dominance for literally over a year now. So we'll continue to watch that, and yeah, until then, I expect Bitcoin dominance. If the QT is not going to end, Bitcoin dominance is probably just going to keep chugging along, slowly and painfully for the altcoins. But I do think QT is going to end. I think my prediction was anywhere between March and June that QT will end. You guys can hold me to that one. We'll see if it plays out. Beyond that, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I hope I was detailed enough for you. Big week ahead. Let's see what happens. Hopefully we can maybe at some point put this tariff stuff to bed. But that's it, man. I hope you guys have a great weekend, rest of the weekend, and enjoy the week ahead. And I will talk to you guys soon, all right? You guys have a good night. Peace.